Boston, in the early 1980s, was not the kind of place you wanted to intentionally stand out, unless you like conflict. Most teenagers were happy to stay in their bubble, to be townies. In 1981, SS Decontrol was formed by kids and for kids who didn't want to stay in their neighborhood, who didn't want to be quiet. Their music was fast, and their lyrics called out the fucked up ideas of the closed-minded and challenged the status quo of getting drunk and high to have a good time. The band only stayed together for a few years, but their first two albums, The Kids Will Have Their Say and Get It Away, have become classics in the hardcore scene. SSD is often cited as a major influence to countless bands, and they're credited with helping to create and popularize straight-edge hardcore.
Around the time I decided to, form this band, taking lessons and stuff, I stopped going out with my friends. That typically I would, like on the weekend, I'd go out with my friends and we'd, drink in the woods. Or I was getting into a lot of trouble. I knew if I was going to do this band, I was going to have to meet new people because none of my other friends expressed an interest that they wanted to pick up a guitar or pick up the drums or anything like that. When I started going to clubs and seeing bands, I met Jamie, the bass player. So that was the first connection there. Me going to see bands in Boston, that was how I met other people. And then taking ads out in the Phoenix, that's how we met the drummer. And that's pretty much how the band was formed.
Everything happened so fast during the, from 81 to 84, so much stuff happened. It seems like a lifetime, but like you say, it was really just 3 years. But everything was just moving at a really breakneck speed.
I wasn't just trying to get a band that was going to play cover songs or just being, it was going to be a special band, but I didn't really know what that meant because I never played guitar before, I mean, I didn't really know what this, but I knew it was going to be special.
He must have given me his phone number. I called him the next day, and I swear it was like probably within a day or two that we started practicing. I can't remember, we might have started playing Decontrol by Discharge.
He was okay. This is the band that I'm liking right now. They're called Discharge, and he held up the single. It's called Decontrol, and he had it on cassette. I think he actually recorded it like 3 times on the cassette. We all listened to it, boom, 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 we learned it, little mistakes, a few starts and stops, but within a half hour or so we had that song down. And then I remember after we was like, all right, we got that one down. I remember Jamie giggling, going, "Fredo, you sound just like that Cal guy." And I'm like, that was another positive thing. He gave me a positive reinforcement. I said, well, I'm gonna stick to that type of voice.
I mean, I'd known about Springer. I didn't know him personally, but we had crossed paths. Springer was kind of everywhere in the music scene back then. And then, Chris saw the ad, and he's probably told you the stories of what kind of attracted him to the ad.
My name is Chris Foley. I am the only drummer from SSD. 42 years ago, I answered an ad in the Boston Phoenix. I pretty much quickly learned that I was the only one who knew how to play an instrument. For some reason, it just didn't intimidate me or turn me off in any way.
And then Al comes out and makes the big speech. And I remember this as clear as I remember my fucking 8th birthday. Al goes, okay, what this band is going to be about, it's not going to be a groovy type of band where people go out on the dance floor and shake their asses. We're making a statement here. It's about anti-government, anti-society, anti-conformity, and breaking down the barriers between the band and the audience, And if you don't like it, there's the door right there. You can leave right now.
The
concept of how much art was like sort of a rebellion against the new wave music. You know, it was like Adamant or Sid Vicious, you know, or like, you know, I think the choice was obvious for a lot of these kids. You know, we want loud, aggressive. We don't want to, like, you know, pogo.
You know, I really couldn't understand why, you know, none of the bands were really heavy. I gotta, you know, so that, I'll just say that right off the bat. I was trying to understand why, quote, Boston, this great music town or whatever, you know, that, you know, Aerosmith or Cars, but there was really no heavy bands that I really considered heavy back then, you know? And I was like, that's strange, you know, I don't understand it. It's like almost like they were like heavy music was shunned in a way, I felt, you know? It didn't seem like it was real sincere, that kind of music, you know? It didn't seem like had the kind of honesty and sincerity that I was after or whatever, you know? It's like in my mind, I'm still thinking, you know, I can create something that's maybe different, you know? I'm thinking that, you know?
Describe the first rehearsal. How old were you?
Okay.
What grade were you in?
Okay, I think I was 9th grade. Yeah, 9th grade, because I remember I think Jello Biafra had to call my house to find out if we could play some shows, or if I didn't pass my grades, my mother wasn't gonna let me go or whatever.
I wanted to be a kids kind of scene, you know, like a real music scene, you know? Did not want to do like a club thing, so that was my idea.
They said, Al, I don't care what the vision is of the band, as long as we're faster than anybody else.
For me, hardcore punk rock was different than punk rock. Punk rock was Elvis Costello and The Clash and the Sex Pistols. You put on the Ramones, it sounds like Chuck Berry. And then go see SSD, and these guys are straight. I love the radicalness of it. To have this incredibly radical sounding music, and they weren't stoners to boot, this was sober music, it didn't make sense. You would think they must be high on 1,000 drugs, and lo and behold, they're totally sober. And it made you feel great. I don't know what it was like for the people in the bands. When you were a fan, it was just, you really felt like you were part of it. You know, it was music for kids, by kids, the kids put on the shows, and so you felt like part of it, you know? It was a movement. It was a little youth movement.